attention away from the economic situation and the various other problems that are being faced by the common person on the ground today. And the present hijab row is a shining example of one of those.
Yes, and I think this is one of the most critical issues, like you mentioned, is diversion and diverting tactics from the real issues. And we know for a very, very long time, under the Modi government, under the BJ government, what has happened to the economy. We've seen since the time demonetization had taken place, and then we've seen what has happened to the farmers. We've seen things like General says GST that was introduced as well. And together with the managing of this entire pandemic, the Indian economy has suffered very, very badly. So it's very easy to divert, and the easiest way to do it is to create, like we've seen with the hijab issue, but to create, a religious sentiment that we know people feel very, very strongly. The Indian population feel very, very strongly with regards to religion and religious-based issues.
You're absolutely right. The nation is going through economic distress like so many nations post-COVID. Demonetization was bad enough, and then we got hit with 2 years of COVID, so that's taken a toll. But to all of us activists working on the ground, I think the most serious issues that concern us as a nation is the backsliding of democracy. What we are seeing is a weakening of the institutions that support democracy. And all of these things are being covered up by bringing in emotional issues like the hijab row, the various other issues that keep coming up time and again. So these are the serious concerns that we have as a nation. It's possible every nation goes through economic distress. There's always a downturn, and some hard work brings it back up. That's all right. But once we allow democracy to be chipped away at, once we allow a weakening of the institutions that protect a democracy, then it takes generations to build those back up. And that's what we are trying to stop. And we're trying to keep the nation's focus on keeping a free and fair democracy that works for everyone. I understand as a Muslim myself, I understand the feelings of my community. We're feeling targeted. We're feeling that there is a specific attention being paid to Muslims, but that's all right. Muslims have fought for the nation's independence 150 years ago, and we're still at it at that. It's important that we address more important issues that don't seem to be able to come out in the media anymore.
Yes. Now, a clear example of this weakening of this democracy is we see what is playing out in Punjab, where there are allegations of political parties colluding with each other to defeat another party, and just looking at the role of these political parties in weakening the democracy. Like, for instance, we hear about parties like Congress, the SAD, the BJP, all in collusion to defeat the AAP in Punjab, Brother Zahid.
Yes, we're seeing this happening in various states. Parties that do not align themselves based on their ideology seem to be working behind the voters' backs in various ways in trying to defeat one particular party from getting into power. Like you said, it's happening in Punjab. It's happening in 4 more states at different levels. So these kind of things are playing out in different places. This is, it's creating an unhealthy democracy, and we understand that this is not the way forward, and this needs to be brought out to the notice of the common people so that they can take a conscious vote against it.
Now, just also trying to understand,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I'm just trying to understand some of these issues that are playing out in the background, because when we look at some of these political parties, they come from different ideologies. For instance, if you look at the Congress versus the BJP, but when one looks at them now coming together, colluding in trying to defeat a third party, what does it actually tell us about India and about Indian politics?
So one of the most serious issues that we've been seeing over the past couple of years is politicians going from one party to the next. They no longer aligned with parties ideologically. Whenever they sense that another party is likely to come to power in the next election, they switch over and go to that party. So this is creating a dilution, and this is where you're seeing non-ideologically aligned parties working together. So all of this again tends to result in horse trading after elections. So this is a very, very serious issue for voters. We cannot have voting for one candidate and then he switches over and joins another candidate. It defeats the whole purpose of free and fair elections.
Yes, it certainly does, and we've seen this happen over and over again. And as you mentioned, moving between political parties, and again, once again, this is selfish. It's motivated by the individual because at the end of the day, all these politicians are looking for, and they couldn't care about the ideology, they couldn't care about what their party stands for, but it is about themselves and creating a space for them in the political landscape.
Yes, most of these are power grabs, and they're motivated by deep personal purposes. So this is something that needs to be brought front and center to the voter to understand that going just with a party isn't like it used to be earlier. Now we also need to look at each individual candidate who is contesting and understand the background of those contestants. That's one of the things we do. We publish data on various contestants whose data is available in the public domain so that voters can make an informed choice.
Now, just looking at the voter themselves and their understanding of these issues playing out, or is it just because of an emotional attachment to the politician, or do these politicians just wield so much power that they can just get people to come in and vote for them, irrespective of what is playing on in the background?
Unfortunately, a lot of the voters do not understand the complex issues involved because there is a large part of India that's rural. Over 60% of the population lives in rural areas. They do not understand the complex issues that politicians are trying to put under the hood. So there is a lot of this going on. So it is difficult for us to make the common voter understand what exactly is going on. But at the same time, there is an innate sense that people are able to sense that the present government in power is not able to get things done, that they are taking the country in the wrong direction. That sense is definitely there. But they do not understand intrinsically the levels, the different issues involved. But that's all right, as long as we are able to. It's a large country, over 1.2 billion people. As long as we can get the basic message across that what is happening is, as a nation, we are heading in the wrong direction, I think that's a good place to start.
Well, Zahid, Jazakallah khairan so much for that and for taking time out, talking to us this morning out of India. We do appreciate it, and we appreciate your time with us this morning here on Salam Media. We wish you well, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Zahid Qadri joining us out of India this morning. And these are issues that are playing out in India for a very, very long time. They have been playing out, but this whole collusion between political parties to get rid of another party, and this has featured very, very prominently in Punjab, where the Chief Minister, Charanjit Singh, has basically said that the controversy during a poll rally where people were asked not to let the Bayas of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Delhi enter the state. Now, this remark was apparently aimed at the AAP, which is the Aam Aadmi Party, where they were basically told that not to vote for the AAP, where all these parties came together to stop the AAP from forming the government in Punjab. And as part of this, parties like the Congress, the BJP, have actually come together, but also the blame game that is being played out in during these elections. And at the same time, they have been slammed by various leadership, and this includes people like Priyanka Gandhi, who obviously, on the one hand, had a go at Narendra Modi, but also at the Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who is with the AAP as well. So there is just so much that is playing out, and this is a country that claims to be the world's largest democracy. But when all these issues play out in the background, and when one looks at the outcome of the elections, can we really say that free and fair elections are being held within India, which boasts to be the world's largest democracy? The time is just gone 9:46. We're going to go for a break. We'll be back.